You ever get that feeling that your own computer is, I don't know, actively working against you? Like the operating system you use every day is less of a tool and more like a landlord who keeps moving your stuff around and putting ads up in your living room? Well, for millions of Windows users, that feeling is getting really, really hard to ignore. So the big question is, has Microsoft finally pushed its users right over the edge?
And this quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of it. It's this growing feeling of distrust, the sense that the software we depend on isn't really being built for us anymore, but for somebody else's bottom line. And look, this isn't just some vague anxiety.
No, it's rooted in very real daily annoyances. We're talking full-screen pop-ups, ads baked right into your start menu.
And then there's the relentless push of features nobody seems to have asked for, like Copilot just reinstalling itself, and Microsoft's new big idea, calling Windows an agentic OS, which basically means an OS that's supposed to act for you even if you never asked it to.
And on top of all that is the constant fear that the next update isn't going to bring new features, but a whole new set of problems, from broken drivers to your entire system just locking down. It's no wonder people are getting fed up.
So let's dig into that first. Let's talk about the specific things that are actively pushing people away from Windows. I mean, what does this loss of control actually feel like day to day?
Well, it's like a death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's being hit with an ad when all you want to do is find a file. It's being forced to sign into a Microsoft account on a PC you built with your own two hands. It's having this AI assistant you never wanted, and an OS that seems to think it knows better than you do about what you need.
And we're not just talking about small frustrations here. Some of these updates have had some pretty serious consequences. Take this one, for example. It triggered BitLocker recovery and literally locked people out of their own computers. I mean, when an update can make your machine unusable, that's how trust just evaporates.
And this quote just nails it. It really gets to the emotional core of the whole problem. It's not just about the ads or the bugs. It's this fundamental loss of agency, that feeling that your personal computer isn't really, well, personal anymore.
Okay, but for every push, there's usually a pull. And in this story, that pull is coming from a longtime underdog that's, believe it or not, suddenly getting some serious momentum, with some of the biggest names in tech behind it. Yeah, let's talk about Linux.
Now, to really get how big of a deal this is, you gotta remember the history here. There were these leaked internal Microsoft memos, the Halloween documents, that basically laid out Microsoft's entire strategy to fight against open source software like Linux. My, how times have changed.
All right, forget all the philosophy for a second and just look at the raw performance here. Recent tests on systems with limited video memory showed the game Alan Wake 2 running up to 41 frames per second faster on Linux than on Windows. No, that is not a typo. We're talking a nearly threefold increase in performance. So how is this even possible? Well, a huge amount of the credit goes to Valve. Their work on the Steam Deck and this amazing thing called the Proton Compatibility layer, which basically translates Windows games to run on Linux, it has completely changed the game, making thousands of titles work pretty much seamlessly right out of the box.
So a faster, more private, more user-respecting OS. Sounds amazing, right? But look, if it were that simple, everybody would have jumped ship already. The reality is, moving away from an ecosystem you've been a part of for decades is, well, it's tricky.
And what's so deceptive about it is that getting started seems incredibly easy. People report that the actual install process is often way faster and more straightforward than setting up a fresh copy of Windows. You can be up and running in just a few minutes.
So if it's that easy to install, what's the catch? Well, the problem isn't getting Linux onto your computer. The real challenge is getting your entire digital life to run on Linux.
For a ton of creators and professionals, this is where they hit a wall. The entire Adobe Creative Cloud Suite doesn't run natively. Critical hardware for streamers from companies like Elgato and TC Helicon, it lacks official support, basically turning hundreds of dollars of gear into paperweights. This ecosystem lock-in is a powerful thing, and for many, it's a deal breaker.
And this whole situation gets really, really complicated when you get to the world of PC gaming. I mean, for every amazing success story, there's a really frustrating roadblock. This one phrase from a user really just captures the whole experience perfectly. One day, you're just blown away that a brand new game runs flawlessly, and the next, you spend your entire evening just trying to get a different game to even launch.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this breaks down. As you can see, the huge majority of games, especially single-player titles, work beautifully because of Proton. Then you have a smaller chunk that might need a little bit of tinkering to get going. But then there's that last stubborn bar.
And this right here, this is the final boss for a lot of people who are thinking about switching. These super invasive kernel-level anti-cheat systems, which need a level of deep system access that Linux is pretty much designed to prevent, are used by some of the most popular online games in the world, like Valorant and Fortnite. For competitive gamer, that's often the end of the line.
So, if the technical problems are really that specific, maybe the biggest barrier isn't really about software compatibility at all. Maybe it's about something deeper. Maybe it's about mindset.
This is such a fascinating point. We always associate Linux with tinkering and messing around in the command line, right? But, I mean, think about it. How many times have you had to go digging in the registry, or hunt down some obscure driver, or follow a 20-step guide on a forum just to get something to work right in Windows? The truth is, Windows users are already tinkerers. They've just gotten used to it.
So here's the crucial difference. Switching from Windows to Linux isn't just about changing your wallpaper. It's a fundamental shift in how you see your computer. You're going from being a passive consumer of a product to an active user of a tool. You're moving away from an attitude of "it should just work" to finding real satisfaction in being able to say, "I can make it work."
And that leaves us with a final kind of provocative thought. For years and years, the big debate has always been, when is Linux going to be ready for the desktop? But with its growing power, its improving compatibility, and its fundamental respect for the user, maybe that's just the wrong question. Maybe the real question we should be asking ourselves is, are we ready for Linux?